but don't worry, I got you covered. All right, last time. Here we go. We got a ton of teams on last time. We got some great teams on buys this week and a ton of injuries to account for, but don't worry, I got you covered. Dave Loughran of Awesemo.com, and we're running it back again for Week 7. Must starts throughout the week. Running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks, all of that. My top ones heading into Sunday. Let's dive straight into it, but before we do, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. It goes a long way. Helps us keep the lights on, keep putting out free content. Hopefully you've enjoyed it along the way. And of course, follow me at Laffy_D, LOUGHY_D on Twitter. Let's get into it. Saquon Barkley is expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks, so I feel pretty confident that he won't be on the field this Sunday to face Carolina. That presents another opportunity for DeVontae Booker to step up in his stead, and he'll have a much better matchup than he did in Week 6 when the Giants got shit on by an elite Rams team. Booker still saw 16 touches in that game, though, and at one point they were down by 35 points. He played 72% of snaps, but probably would have played north of 90 had the game not been out of hand. Booker had touched the ball 36 times over his last 2 games and is the clear lead back with Barkley sidelined, and a 2.5-point home dog against the floundering Panthers team this week. So before you say anything, yes, I know Sam Darnold's pass catchers dropped a whopping 8 passes last week, and they should have won that game. But their defense is nowhere near as stout as the Rams, particularly on the ground where they're allowing the 5th most yards per carry. Actually, Carolina has coughed up a ridiculous 534 rushing yards over the last 3 weeks alone. Get this, that's more than 6 teams have allowed on the entire season. So on a week where 6 teams are on bye and a bevy of running backs are injured, Booker makes for an awesome start and should see a huge workload with Barkley expected to sit. Josh Jacobs hasn't exactly endeared himself to most fantasy owners this season, but he hasn't killed him either. He's actually posted double-digit PPR points in every week he's played. He's found the end zone on 4 different occasions and has 5 targets in 2 of 4 games as well. His rushing production has been awful, though, averaging 3.2 yards per carry on the season and failing to eclipse 3.5 yards per carry in a single game. That could change on Sunday, though, when the Raiders host the Eagles, who are coughing up 33 rushing attempts and 135 yards to opponents per game. Good for most and 5th most in football, respectively. The problem with Philly hasn't even been their defense's ability to stop the run, but more so their offense's inability to maintain possession for more than 30 seconds. They're 31st in time of possession and 27th in offensive plays per game. Meanwhile, opponents are running the 7th most plays against the Eagles. Makes sense. They spent most of their games playing from behind and should put Jacobs in a position to cross the 20 carry threshold for the first time this season. So while Jacobs hasn't exactly been efficient, he has several huge things working in his favor this week. The game script projects favorably. He's the Raiders' clear goal line back, and he actually has a 10% target share in this offense, which is essentially the same as teammate Kenyon Drake. This is a great week to get Jacobs into our starting lineups. Do it. A.J. Brown's 2021 season hasn't been what any of us had anticipated when drafting him this summer. But prepare for liftoff this weekend, fellas. It's coming. Brown will face a Chiefs team that's been absolutely blasted in the passing game for 8.4 yards per attempt and has already allowed 8 completions for over 40 yards. They were better against Taylor Heineke last week, but didn't have to account for an absolute freak of nature in Derrick Henry steamrolling them on every drive. Seriously, he's one of the most unique and incredible players we'll ever have the privilege of watching, so enjoy it while it lasts. Henry's facing 8+ defenders in the box almost 40% of the time, and the Chiefs' run defense is already horrible, so they're going to have to account for him all game long. That's why this game has an insane 56.5-point total, too, and the Titans are only 4.5-point dogs at home. Tennessee has seen a whopping 18 of 22 games go for more than 50 total points since the start of last season, and this one could honestly see 70+. With Julio Jones dealing with yet another hamstring injury and likely missing this game, Brown will be the clear top options in the Titans' passing offense. Last year, he had a 26% target share, and that was with Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith alongside him. This week, he'll be playing next to Chester Rogers and Nick Westbrook-Akina, while opposing Patrick Mahomes in a still electric Kansas City offense. The A.J. Brown blow-up performance is coming this week. Book it. I usually don't talk about quarterbacks and start-sit videos until the bye weeks hit because, well, they don't really matter. But this week, a whole lot different. We have 6 teams on buys, and we'll be missing 4 quarterbacks who are top 10 in fantasy points through 6 weeks. Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and even Kirk Cousins. That brings us to Tua Tagovailoa, who returned last week after a 3-game hiatus, only to lose to the Jaguars in London, handing them their first win since the internet was created. Tua posted some solid fantasy totals, though, and that's all that matters. And he could turn in a repeat performance this week against the Falcons, who Football Outsiders has ranked 30th in pass defense DVOA this season. Brian Flores might legitimately be out of a job if Miami drops to 1-6, but they'll have every opportunity to hang around against Atlanta. The Dolphins have the 4th lowest game script adjusted run play percentage in the league this year. Granted, they never even attempted to run against the Bucs because no one does. And they're coming off a game where Tagovailoa threw 47 times. So while Will Fuller remains on the IR, Tua still has some quality weapons in Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, DeVontae Parker if he returns, and Myles Gaskin as a pass catcher out of the backfield. Tua is available in 81% of Yahoo leagues and is a perfect streaming option against the Falcons secondary that's been trashed by even half-decent passing attacks this year. Dallas Goedert became the clear beneficiary following Zach Ertz's trade, going from a near 50-50 timeshare at tight end to the clear top option at the position. From weeks 3 through 5, Goedert was out on the COVID-19 reserve list in week 6. Ertz only ran 3 fewer routes than Goedert and out-targeted his cohort 21-12 over that span. With Goedert expected to be activated in time for week 7, given that the Eagles played last Thursday, and there being no competition behind them at the position, Goedert's role should expand significantly starting on Sunday. 43% of Jalen Hurts' red zone attempts this season have gone to his tight ends, while 60% inside the 10 and 75% inside the 5 have gone to the position. You have to love that. Ertz had a near 20% target share since week 3 and played north of 50% of snaps in every game, which hurt Goedert plenty considering the Eagles aren't using nearly as many 2 tight end sets as they did in previous years. Jack Stoll is no threat, and no other tight end has even played a snap this season. So it's entirely plausible that Goedert begins seeing 80+% of snaps or more going forward. Even when Tyree Jackson, an undrafted converted quarterback, returns, there's no reason to believe he'll carve out a big enough role to affect Goedert, the intended tight end of the future for Philadelphia. If you love fantasy football and you haven't played daily fantasy football yet, well, I got an amazing offer for you. And my only hesitation in telling you this is that you're just going to stop watching my videos here on this channel. But that's cool. You can head over to our main channel, the DFS one, and well, we'll be square. But check this out. If you sign up for Yahoo Fantasy as a new user, got to be a new user, using the link below in the description and deposit just $10 or more if you'd like, but only has to be $10. You will get 1 full free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That's everything on the site. And it's not just football, baseball, basketball, hockey, PGA, MMA, NASCAR, even esports. If they have contests out there, we've got content for it. And all of the tools you need to win at Yahoo as well. Ownership projections, player projections, top stack tool, boom bust tool, the lineup builder, and so much more, all of which are built by the #1 ranked DFS player out there, Awesemo himself, won millions of dollars using these very tools I'm talking about right now. So check it out. Go to Yahoo, sign up using the link in the description. Deposit $10 or more. They will send their information over to us, and we will email you with the steps to get your free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum and $90 value. You got to check DFS out. You're going to love it. And, well, you can use all of the tools on the site and, of course, follow along every single day of the week with our DFS content on the Awesemo YouTube channel as well. Check it out. Link in the description below. We'll see you over there. Joe Brady has not hesitated to throw Chuba Hubbard into the metaphorical fire since Christian McCaffrey went down, especially over the last 2 weeks where he's handled 40 carries and 49 total looks. McCaffrey will miss at least 2 more games, paving the way for Hubbard to see another big workload in week 7 when the Panthers travel to MetLife Stadium to take on the 1-5 Giants. Volume is king in fantasy football, and Hubbard has seen no shortage of it in recent weeks. That should continue against the New York team that surrendered the 4th most rushing yards per game and ranks 27th in run defense DVOA. The Panthers should enjoy a favorable enough game script to maintain a balanced attack, and they'll probably want to after last week where Carolina's pass catchers dropped nearly 3 times as many passes as any other team. And in the 3 weeks Hubbard started in the Panthers backfield, he's handled 88% of the team's running back carries. He's also out-targeted Royce Freeman 19-3 on the season. If I have Hubbard on my rosters and don't have a loaded group of running backs, he's absolutely making a trip into my starting lineups for Sunday. And I'd be starting him ahead of players like Damian Harris based on pass-catching abilities alone. It was only a matter of time before James Conner saw regression in the touchdown department, but that didn't come with a decrease in volume at all. Connor carried 16 times for a season-high 71 yards against Cleveland last week and now has almost 60% of the Cardinals' running back carries for the season, out-touching Chase Edmonds 79-53 on the ground and 7-1 on goal line carries, of which he's converted 5 of them into touchdowns. Connor is 15th in rushing attempts among all running backs and 2nd in rushing touchdowns behind only Derrick Henry. Again, I don't see him sustaining this type of production throughout the season because, well, he hasn't been efficient as a runner, but he has been efficient at the goal line. And it stands to reason that Arizona will see several opportunities deep in their opponent's zone on Sunday. The Cardinals are week-high 17-point favorites against the Texans. They have a 32-point implied total and should blow the doors off this lowly Houston team at home. Not to mention, we don't know how much Chase Edmonds' shoulder injury has been impacting his play and his volume, as he's carried the ball only 10 times over the last week compared to Connor's 26. So while none of us are in love with Connor from a skill standpoint at this stage of his career, he's still a massive home favorite and the lead goal line back on a team that's projected to score more than 4.5 touchdowns. Seems like a strong spot to give him a start. Darrell Henderson is in an absolute smash spot this week, and I'd truly be surprised if he wasn't one of the highest scoring players on the week overall. If you have him, you're starting him, and you're starting him with confidence. Sony Michel has definitely seen some usage over the last 2 weeks, with some of it due to Henderson getting banged up in-game, but Henderson could easily garner another 20-plus carries and a handful of targets on Sunday against the Lions, who have been annihilated by opposing running backs all year long. Detroit is allowing 25 fantasy points per game to running backs this year on 132 rushing yards per game to boot. They aren't quite as inefficient at stopping the run as teams like the Chargers or Chiefs are, but they're so pitiful offensively that opponents will just run the ball down their throats for 60 minutes. Lead backs to have faced the Lions this year have finished as the RB 13, 2, 5, 6, and 4. Now, I'm not including the week against the Ravens because they didn't have a lead back, and 2 of those weeks include games from David Montgomery and Elijah Mitchell, who didn't even play the full game. So it just gives you an idea of how bad they've been. You get the point. Henderson is as good as they come this week, with his Rams favored by 16 points and having a week-high 33-point implied total. And if that isn't enough, the Lions have allowed 12 touchdowns to running backs this season, 6 on the ground and 6 through the air. Good for worst in the league. Let Henderson lead you to victory in week 7 and coast. Thanks for watching. As always, be sure to head over to Awesemo.com. Check out everything we've got, from sports betting, DFS, fantasy football, you name it, we've got it all of which has been created and built by the #1 ranked DFS player out there, Awesemo himself. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe before you go, and we'll catch you back here for the next one. Good luck this week.